Jesus has shared his heart with you. Won't you share it with others? You know, as a priest or a deacon and even bishops, we have a privileged opportunity in the celebration of the sacrament of marriage to be right there, a foot away from the couple as they exchange their vows and become a husband and wife. It's a powerful moment to stand there as I hold the mic close to his mouth as he is looking into her eyes and says the vows that will make the sacrament happen. It's the only sacrament of the seven where the couple actually does the sacrament. The priest, deacon, or bishop simply preside over the vows, but they themselves, the husband and wife, actually do the sacrament by the vows that they exchange and the intentions behind those vows and their ability to live that out. And so I'll hold the mic in front of the man, and usually the groom will look at me, and I'll tell him, no, you're marrying her, look at her. Nervous, like, what do I say? No, I'm going to tell you the words, just look at her. She's much prettier, right? And then I'll hold it's a very intense moment, right? I mean, they're realizing now we'll be husband and wife till death, and oftentimes the men kind of like don't know where to look, that eye contact is very intense and scary. The woman, meanwhile, is looking him dead in the eye, saying these vows. We're doing this. But it's a beautiful moment to see that, and there's a real exchange of heart there. The husband gives his heart to his wife. The wife, now his wife, gives her heart to him. I entrust you with my heart. In the first reading today from the book of Proverbs, it says, her husband, entrusting his heart to her, has an unfailing prize. Now, the book of Proverbs today is very androcentric when we read it. It's written by a man, from a man's perspective. And in the Hebrew, the words that they use to refer to the woman have this connotation of ownership, of dominion. One can argue it's somewhat misogynistic even, though others would argue not so much, because in this particular passage from Proverbs 31, the last chapter of the book, he praises her for her usefulness and her hard work and her fear of the Lord rather than for her appearance. Wherever you stand on the issue, I think for our purposes here today, it speaks more to the reality of Christ being the husband, and we, the baptized faithful, his bride, the church. Jesus entrusts his heart to us, literally and figuratively. His sacred heart is given to us from the cross. It's pierced for our offenses, but it flows forth blood and water for our salvation and forgiveness. Jesus unconditionally, as the bridegroom of the church, lays down his life for the church, as the early church fathers would say, on the marital bed that is the cross. It's there that the union is consummated by the Lord, who spills forth the seed of his mercy from his heart, so that his bride, you and I, can be saved through water and the Holy Spirit by baptism. He gives his heart to us, and as I mentioned on November 1st, Blessed Carlo Acutis, the millennial that was just beatified last October, who died at 15 years of age, was obsessed with the Eucharistic miracles around the world. And he created a website where you can go to all the links of all the Eucharistic miracles around the world to learn and study about the real presence of Jesus. And there are many cases where scientists got involved, and they analyzed the Eucharist that had turned to flesh. And in every instance, every time, the flesh they found that was the host was actually the flesh of heart muscle. Literally the heart of Christ. When we receive communion, we are literally receiving the heart of Christ. The husband entrusts his heart to her. That is you, the bride. And he calls us to do something with that heart. But oftentimes as Catholic, we live out of this servile fear. You know, the Psalms today said, blessed are those who fear the Lord. The Proverbs praises the woman who fears the Lord. We are told that we should have a fear of the Lord, but oftentimes as Catholics we think of fear meaning a servile fear. I'm afraid to get punished. He's going to hurt me. I'm going to go to hell. We live out our Catholicism out of this deep-seated fear of, well, Father, what do I need to do to not go to hell? Not very romantic. Imagine the husband and wife saying to one another, honey, what do I need to do so that you don't divorce me? But nothing more. Right? Oh, I love you. Right? The relationship doesn't build on that. But oftentimes that's how we live out our relationship with Jesus. I just need to do whatever I need to do to not go to hell. Or even worse, we live out of complete fear of the Lord. A fear of the Lord that is trembling and incapacitating. It freezes us. It robs us of any joy. We're frustrated. We're angry. There's no happiness in us. And we're just fearful about being punished. Oh, I have to go to Mass so that I don't commit a mortal sin. Right? We live out our faith out of avoiding punishment. And it robs us of the faith. It kills our faith, that servile fear. And we see it embodied beautifully in the gospel today. The last person that the master entrusted to his slave with 1 talent. 1 talent was equivalent to 15 years of annual salary. And he entrusts this 1 talent. And when the man comes back, he asks him, what did you do with it? Well, I was afraid of you. You reap where you do not sow. I was afraid, so I buried it in the ground. Out of this servile fear, nothing was produced. And as a result, the master takes away even that 1 talent he had and gave it to the one with 10. When we live out our faith out of a servile fear, we bury our heads in the ground. And as Catholics, we live ashamed of being Catholic. There's this misnomer of Catholic guilt, and the distortions of what we really believe and what we're about comes to the fore, and we're afraid to share our faith. We don't want to talk about it. Well, Father, that's a private matter. I don't want to impose that on anyone. Well, no one's asking you to put a gun to their head and tell them to be baptized. You tell them about your best friend who's Jesus. You tell them about how your faith has helped you through coronavirus, through the loss of jobs, through sickness, through the death of loved ones, through a challenge in your marriage, through the death of a parent or a child. Just how your personal relationship with Jesus has carried you through, and you're just talking about your best friend. Oh, well, Father, that's I don't want to impose that on anybody. They might get upset. We're not talking about sharing your political version of Catholicism or the kind of Catholicism that you like. The invitation to share the heart of Christ is about sharing and inviting people to know Jesus as a person. The 2 people in the parable today who received 5 and 2 talents respectively, they symbolize the Catholic who knows Jesus as a person. They realize, I've been given this immense gift, 5 talents, 5 times 15 years of annual salary. This incredible gift, I'm going to invest it. I'm going to do something with it. I want it to multiply. What that means is we invest the heart of Christ in others. We share the fear of the Lord in a filial sense, meaning I fear the Lord in that the last thing I ever want to do is to cause him pain. The last thing I ever want to do is to hurt him. Because I love him so much, I only want to bring him joy. That's filial fear of the Lord. That's Catholic fear of the Lord, where we live out of this deep desire of wanting to bring joy to the heart of Christ because he has brought so much joy to us, because we've been loved and forgiven unconditionally as we are. There's nothing we have to do to merit receiving literally the heart of Christ in the Eucharist. The good we do is in response to him first loving us. Paul says that Christ suffered and died for us while we were still sinners. Jesus says, I have come so that my joy might be in you and your joy might be complete. And so living out of this filial fear of the Lord means sharing the heart of Christ with others, doing good out of love for Jesus in gratitude for his unconditional love for us. That may mean raking your neighbor's leaves without even asking them. It may mean shoveling their driveway or their walkway from snow. It may mean bringing soup or getting groceries for a high-risk elderly person during the height of this pandemic. It could mean just getting together safely and having a cup of coffee when they've just lost a child or their spouse, and having an empathetic ear and just listening with love, not trying to give answers or explain the faith, just listen and to tell them, I love you, you're important, and I hear you, and I'm here for you. It doesn't require us to be great theologians or martyrs for the faith or missionary disciples heading off to communist countries to be martyred. It can be something as simple as just being present and smiling and offering to pick up their furniture after yesterday's windstorm in their backyard. As simple as that. Anyone can do it. And we do it not because they deserve it, not because they've earned it, but just because we're grateful for having been loved by God. We have this fear of the Lord that says, Lord, you've done so much for me. What can I do for you? We live out of this sense of joy. We want to invest our faith, because if we don't invest in others what God has done for us, like the third servant in the parable today, we'll lose everything. Unlike money, where you give it away and now you don't have it, when we share the faith, it multiplies. When we bury it in the ground, when we keep it to ourselves, when we hoard it, we lose it. It dies. It rots. It's not like a seed. It's buried in the ground and it's done with. And so this Sunday, the scriptures urge us and call us not to live in a servile fear of God or a servile fear of others, but to live out of a filial experience of God's unconditional love, to truly fear the Lord as his bride. Jesus now in the Eucharist will entrust his heart literally to you so that you will go out and then invest that with others and not bury it in the ground, but to share on a personal level what that personal relationship with Jesus Christ has done for you, and invite someone to come to meet him as well, to come know his love, to join you for Mass, to come to an event to the parish, to look at some things online that speak about a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. That's the basis of our faith. And while we're all at different levels of how much we know and what we know and how we're living out the commandments, if we're driven out of an experience of Christ loving me personally, anything is possible, even the courage to joyfully share the gift of faith that is about our relationship with Jesus, so that on the day that we are called home, having been entrusted the very heart of Christ in communion, and investing that in others and inviting them to come to faith, we can hear the Lord say to us, just as he said to the good servants, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come, share your master's joy." Jesus will entrust his heart to you. Won't you share that with others?